Hey guys. Getting all my stuff set up. Let me give it a second. While I'm doing this. Cords everywhere. Cords everywhere. It's okay. Get my chat pulled up on my phone. I'm going to turn the volume down so it's not echoing. There's a lot of storms going on. The last couple of days have been really crazy. We've had, like 2 days ago, we had 770 tornado warnings across the country. Like within a 24-hour period. It was wild. And it's storming here now, but I think it's going to be all right. I think we'll be okay. But if not, if I've got to like bounce real quick, that's fine. All right. Sorry, I was listening to my family. Okay, so the thumbnail for this video says that your planet is not in detriment. It's not fallen. It's learning to be a badass. It's becoming a badass. And that's something that I sort of had I've always kind of felt that way. I don't like to tell people that this part of you is debilitated. This part of you is, like you're unable to do this thing. Those words like fallen and detriment, they have such negative connotations associated with them, right? It sort of puts emphasis on what you can't do, what you're incapable of, your limitations. And I don't think that's a very good way of helping people overcome these things, right? And then the title of this was hang on, sorry. Technical difficulties. Come on, internet. Storms. So the title of this was Mental Alchemy to Charity. What is reality except our perception of the world, of what is real, right? And the mental alchemy part is sort of like, how do we get rid of all the negative stuff, the stuff that's not serving that perception of our reality? How do we get rid of the things that are holding us back so we can just focus on the things that we really need? How do we distill our perception down to what is going to fuel our growth, our evolution, what's going to make us better? So how do we get rid of all the shit and find the sugar? I've been reading The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent, and that's one of his laws. Turn shit into sugar. That's basically what we're doing when we're talking about planets that are debilitated or fallen. I want to give you an example in my own chart. That's not what I want. I'm going to pull up my chart so you can see. First of all, what does it even mean? Why are we terms like debilitated and fallen when it comes to astrology? Like, where did those terms even come from? We understand that there have always been challenges associated with anything, right? That's just how it is. There are challenges with whatever we're trying to do. Come on. That's not exactly what I wanted. But it'll work. Okay. So some things are easy and some things are hard. And depending on your nature, some things are harder for other people and some things are easier for other people, right? You might have some things that are so easy for you, they come so naturally. And then other things you're like, what the fuck? Why can't I do this? In school, you might be really good at English and you might think you suck at math. Maybe it's not that you suck at math. Maybe it's just that the way you're trying to go about doing the math or learning the math is not what's best suitable for you. So these words, astrology has been around forever, right? So you can go all the way back to like the Babylonian days, the Sumerian days, and they used astrology. During like the Hellenistic period, we've got like the ancient Greeks, Ptolemy, William Lilly. These are some people that spoke a lot about planetary dignities. That's where the term sort of comes in. And the dignities have to do with planetary rulership. Here we go. Here's my paper. Planetary rulership or the domicile, planetary exaltation. Like, where is this planet at home? Where is this planet most comfortably expressed? And then like detriment and fall. Where is this planet not at home at all? Where does it not express itself very well? Those sorts of things. And they were really explored more, these concepts were really explored more in like Hellenistic astrology, Renaissance astrology, that type of thing. But the idea of what is challenging for us or what is easy for us has always been a thing. It's nothing new, right? It's just one of those like cosmic forces that always have been. It is what it is. We can name them whatever we want. We can focus on them, but it's nothing new. So my whole point is don't get caught up on the terms, the words, because sometimes I think they can be very misleading. If you're new to astrology and somebody says, I'm going to use my own chart as an example here. Somebody says, oh, Mandy, oh my gosh, your Mercury is in Sagittarius and, that's its fall or its detriment. Like, what? What are you even talking about? What does that mean for me? I'm going to show you guys my chart. So you can sort of see what, let's see, there we go, okay. All right. So this is my chart here, right? My Mercury is in Sagittarius. It's in its detriment in Sagittarius. My Venus is in its detriment in Scorpio. My Mars is in its detriment in Libra. My Moon is in its fall in Scorpio. If you look at my chart and we're talking about planetary dignities, nothing in my chart is dignified. Nothing, I have no planets in their own signs, like where they're at home. Planetary rulership means like this is just where this planet feels most comfortable. It's at home. It's its domicile. So with Aries, we're talking about Mars. Mars is most at home in Aries. That's not Aries. This is Aries. Leo, the sun is most at home in Leo. Jupiter is most at home in Sagittarius. I don't have any planets at home unless you're talking about modern astrology. And I've got Pluto in Scorpio because Pluto rules Scorpio in modern astrology, right? And is that a big deal? Maybe, but you know what? Everybody born between this year and this year, we all have Pluto in Scorpio. So it's not real personal when it comes to me and how I live my life. I also don't have any exalted planets, meaning that none of these planets are really happy anywhere they're at. They're not exalted. They're not I think of it like this. Planetary rulership, planetary domicile. That's the home space, right? So if we're thinking about Mars, who is Mars? This is who Mars is. Which one of these spaces is he most comfortable in? Which one is home for him? He's at home in Aries, okay? Exaltation is sort of like, where is Mars going to go on vacation? Or where is Mars going to find a job, like a career that best suits him? So where's he going to be exalted in his action, right? Same thing with all the other planets. Where's that one page that I'm looking for? I lost a page, guys. But that's okay. Did I lose a page? No, I didn't lose a page. Hang on. Yeah, here it is. So let's talk about my Mercury for a second, since I brought that one up. Mercury is at home in Gemini, and Mercury is at home in Virgo. Mercury can live in either of these two places and feel totally itself. Everything about this space is very mercurial. Think about your home, where you live. Is it an apartment? Is it a big house? Is it on an island? Is it in the mountains? Like, everything about this space is going to vibe with you. It's going to resonate with you because this is like, it's your home. You want it to be a space where it's reflective of who you are. Let me tell you where Mercury is exalted. Okay. Mercury is also exalted in Virgo, and I think that's the only, and yeah. Sorry. Brain farts, man. Mercury is exalted in Virgo. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. So that means when Mercury goes on vacation, or when Mercury is in a career that's best suited for it, it's going to be a Virgo type vacation or a Virgo type job, right? Well, what is Mercury? Mercury is our perception. It's like our cognition. It's how we interpret data or information from the outside world into our inner world, how we comprehend that, and then what we do with it, right? So it's what we think about things. It's how we learn language. It's how we decide what route we want to take to work. It's how we decide how we want to communicate with the world and move through the world. That's what Mercury does. When I say it's our perception, our cognition, Think of it like the computer server. It takes the data in and it puts the data out. But as it relates to us, this is what it does for us. This is what it helps us do. So if Mercury is at home in Gemini, Gemini is very much about like taking in new information and putting things together, new ideas, talking to different people, getting all sides of something, like all sides of the story. It's reading the news or going to see a new movie. It's all about communication and movement. So Mercury likes to be in a house where it's all about communication and movement. Virgo. I always compare Virgo to an Excel spreadsheet. Virgo likes to organize the data, right? Virgo likes to it likes to put things together so we can learn from it. So Mercury likes to be in this space. Mercury is very at home here. Mercury also likes to go on vacation here because why not? It can do its thing. Mercury likes to get a career in Virgo because it's really good at the whole communications thing. So it can put together the data very well so other people can interpret it. That's another thing about Virgo. It's not just doing it for yourself. It's becoming really good at it so you can help somebody else with it, right? Just like an Excel spreadsheet, all this data is put together in this spreadsheet so everybody can understand it, so it can be helpful to everybody else. I'll give you another example. Let me see, what's a good one? Is anybody watching? If anybody's watching, give me a planet. The moon, okay? Because my moon is in its fall in Scorpio. So the moon is at home in Cancer. The moon it's our intuition. It's our emotional self, right? It's our subjective reality. It's like, this is what the world feels like to me. It has to do with our emotional and psychological needs, our just intuition in general, what feels right. The moon is at home in Cancer. The moon likes to live in Cancer because Cancer is the space where we're nurtured. And what is more nurturing than taking care of emotional and psychological needs, right? It's where you can be nurtured so you can grow. It's sort of like a safe space for the moon to exist. The moon is exalted in Taurus. Taurus is similar to Cancer, where Cancer is a place where you can be nurtured. If you think about a crab, it's in its shell, right? So it's sort of like a space of safety. Taurus is a space of comfort. Well, what's the difference, right? Comfort just means comfort. You can relax. You can let your guard down. There's no like in relation to something else. Whereas in Cancer, it's sort of like safety insinuates that what are you trying to be safe from? It adds an element of like something else out there. Whereas if you're comfortable, you're just comfortable. You're not comfortable because of anything outside of you. You're not comfortable from something. Whereas in Cancer, you are safe from something else, right? So the moon is at home in Cancer. The moon likes to vacation in Taurus, where it can be comfortable, where your emotional needs, your psychological needs, they can just relax. You don't have to worry about your needs not being met because everything is comfortable for you. Everything feels good. So that's sort of the difference between the domicile or the rulership and the exaltation. The rulership basically means like everything about the space resonates with you, it vibes with you. And exaltation is like there's something specific about this space that really vibes with me, that I can really, it really brings out this part of me, this part of my personality, this part of what I like, that sort of thing. It brings out this part of me. And those are good things, right? We all want to be places like that. But there's a downside to that. You know, Taurus is this place of comfort, and who doesn't want to be comfortable all the time? But do we learn anything from that? Does it help us grow if we're just sort of like lounging around, being cozy all day? There's no development there. We don't learn anything new about ourselves. There's no challenge. There's no opportunity for growth because it's just this really super comfortable place. When Mars is in Aries, right? Because that's where Mars lives. That's his home space, is in Aries. Mars is action. It's your fight or flight instinct. It's your self-assertion. Aries is like the frontier space. It's this new area. You've never been in this space before. Whether it's just like being born into a world you've never been in as a baby, or it could be like you're starting a new job, you're moving to a new city. It's the unknown. If you're able to assert yourself like Mars, and you know you've got a good fight or flight instinct, yeah, you're gonna get along pretty well in that space. It's gonna be easy for you to be in that space. But you're not. Mars can like over assert itself, right? It can be dominant. It can act without thinking. It can, you know, we're talking about fight or flight, and like the god of war in the god of war's zone, Mars and Aries. Are you even considering what you're asserting yourself over and how that thing feels? So sometimes it's easy to exist within the space, but you're not learning anything, or you're not, like, it's too easy. You know what I mean? It's too easy for you not to think about things that would trigger some sort of like evolution or self-development. My Mars is in Libra. It's in detriment in Libra. Right here, Mars in Libra, detriment, right? Because Mars likes to assert itself. Libra is about balance. It's about considering the other. How do I exist in this space with the other? How do I integrate myself into this space? How do we exist together? How do we create a balance, right? So in Libra, you have to consider yourself and you have to consider the other one, and there has to be some sort of compromise where you remain true to yourself, they remain true to their self. Both people are able to assert themselves, and neither one is oppressed in any way. So how does Mars figure that out, right? Because that's not really what Mars likes to do. But think about this. Once Mars does learn to consider the other, think about how much more, one, dangerous Mars can be, and two, how much more capable they are of moving through the world in any environment at any time because they've learned to consider the other. When I think about Mars and Libra, I always think about Sun Tzu's The Art of War. How he's always talking about, knowing your enemy, or knowing, and I'm not saying like the other has to be your enemy, but we are talking about Mars here. So when you're able to act in consideration or while considering somebody else or other people around you or whatever it is, when you're able to see outside of yourself and understand that these things matter too, that they deserve to be here too, that they are here too, it's not just all about me and what I want to do, it adds so many dimensions to it. It helps you strategize your movements. What is going to be the best way for me to move? Because now I'm balancing how I want to move with this thing over here, and it's going to help me figure out the best way to move, the best way to do something, instead of just acting on pure impulse or pure urge. You see how it makes it so much more sophisticated, and by adding that complexity, it can anybody really argue that it's not better off for having to go through that struggle and learn to rise above it? So Mars kind of becomes a badass. It goes from being just like a wild berserker to Sun Tzu. Because now it's thinking about the other things. We'll go back to Mercury. So I kind of have some things written out for that. So like I said, Mercury is data in, data out, right? It's our perception, our cognition, how we communicate and move through the world. Let me stop sharing this for a second. Sagittarius is the space that represents is like your quest for meaning, your quest for some sort of meaningful experience that will cause personal growth, right? Like people say, Sagittarians, they're just going from one thing to the next. They like to travel. They like to try all these new things. It's not the newness of it per se that Sagittarius is drawn to. It's the growth that will come from the experience. Sagittarius is a place where you stretch your boundaries for a purpose. You stretch your physical boundaries, you stretch your mental boundaries, you stretch your emotional boundaries. You stretch them for a reason. There's a growth that you're gonna have because of these experiences. It's not like let's go do something just to be doing it. It's not Martian in that way. It doesn't just have to move. There has to be a meaning, a purpose for the movement. So what could be wrong with Mercury in Sagittarius? Why the meaning, a purpose for the movement? So what could be wrong with Mercury in Sagittarius? Why do they say that it's in detriment? Well, when we're talking about our cognition, right? This is sort of like how we connect the dots in our world, how we, like all these sounds that I'm making right now with my mouth, why do you understand them? Because you understand the pattern that turns these sounds into words and turns these words into sentences and these sentences into ideas that you associate with this meaning, right? So Mercury can find these patterns. And Mercury, it likes to learn. It likes to engage and go try new things and do new things and see new things. Why would that be bad? Because Mercury in Sagittarius has a tendency to focus on the big picture, right? It sees sort of like, this is the purpose for our quest. This is what we're trying to do. So it starts connecting the dots with what we think the purpose is, with what we think the idea is. And it can get sort of fixated on that. So there's a tendency to jump to conclusions. Say if you're like, I'm going to go to the library because I want to learn about how, I don't know anything. I want to learn about how trains work. Okay. So you go to the library and you're looking at all these books that have to do with trains and how they work. you can get so focused on learning how trains work that maybe you forget or you miss a detail. You forget to look for the smaller details. And maybe you miss a detail about engines or about steam engines or about coal engines or anything like that. You know what I mean? That could help you learn more about how trains work. But you're so focused on the big idea of how trains work that you can't really break down the steps and see each one for what it is. So Mercury in Sagittarius doesn't like to work the steps. It likes to see the whole quest and like communicate that, and it's all about communication and logistics of the main idea of the thing. When I was younger, and I still have this problem sometimes, but when I was like in high school and I was learning more advanced algebra and things like that, I was failing math, right? That's a big deal for me because I've always been like honor roll, Mensa, whatever, you know, like where all the smart kids go. Because I am a very intelligent person, you know. But I was failing math because the teacher would give me a math problem and I could understand, oh yeah, that's the answer. And I could see how it all fit together. But I couldn't tell you step by step how it fit together. It was an issue for me because I couldn't pay attention to the details of each step. I was too focused on the broad idea of the thing. Another thing Mercury can do is, Mercury in Sagittarius, is prematurely connecting the dots before you get all the information or learning more. So with Mercury, with our cognition, we're connecting the dots. We're seeing the patterns and gaining insight and meaning from those patterns, right? One of the things I'm really good at is seeing the correlation or the parallel between like astrology and mythology, whether it's like flat out mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Sumerian mythology, whatever, Bible stories, stories in the Gita, like whatever it is, I can see astrology in all of these things. Sometimes I can see a certain pattern and I have to watch myself because as I'm going through the information and I'm putting this together, am I trying to make the information I'm looking at fit this pattern, or does the information actually fit this pattern? You see what I'm saying? Sagittarius is associated with like higher learning, your pilgrimage in life, sort of. So it's got connections with religion, and people who are like, you can get stuck in this fundamentalist self-righteousness when it comes to not just religion, but also like, think about like a professor at a university who is so sure that their way is the right way, right? They know what they're talking about. Don't tell them they're wrong. Mercury and Sagittarius can do that because it's connecting those dots. It's finding those patterns to prove why it's right, why this is the way. So why again are we saying that this is a badass way to be? How is this helpful at all? Because if you can get past that, first of all, you have to become aware of it. You have to be aware that these things are a challenge for you, that these things are a struggle for you, okay? If you've got Mars in Libra, you have to be aware that you naturally sometimes have trouble considering the other person with your actions, right? If you've got Mercury in Sagittarius, you have to be aware sometimes that you can get so focused on the goal or making things fit the pattern that you don't pay attention to the details. When I was younger, sometimes I would just not speak at all because I felt like every time I did, I came across as a know-it-all. And that's not how I meant for it to be. It's just how it how it happened. Because Mercury does like to engage, there's a mutable aspect, right? It wants to talk. It wants you to talk back. It wants to have a conversation. It wants there to be data in and data out. And Sagittarius is like this pilgrimage quest for purpose. So there's an excitement to that. It's an adventure, right? So people with Mercury and Sagittarius can be very passionate about what they're talking about. But if there's no back and forth exchange, if I'm just like passionately telling you something, maybe I do sound like a know-it-all, right? It's not because I think I know everything. It's just because I'm so excited about this thing that I know, and it's so cool to me, and I want to tell you about it. I want to communicate it. But I want you to say something back, too. People aren't always going to say something back. So how can I be more aware of how I communicate information, right? How can I communicate the information in a way that people can engage with, not just like, did you know that the moon is 93 million miles away from the earth? Okay, that's cool. But what about it? Like, what does that have to do with the people that I'm telling that to? There's got to be a back and forth. Another thing that you can look to in your zodiac chart, in your birth chart, let me share my screen again, because this is where you really start getting into how can I work with my planet and develop it, this superpower, right? My Mercury in Sagittarius is in the 6th house. This is a Placidus chart, so it shows it in the 5th house. You can use it either way, right? You can use Placidus, you can use whole sign houses, you can use whatever kind of stuff you want. So I heard this from Stephen Forrest, and he heard it from Robert Hand. Stephen Forrest says that Robert Hand gave him the best line, or spoke the best line he's ever heard when it comes to talking about houses. You know, which one is the best to use, which one is the right one, which one is truer, whole signs or Placidus. Robert Hand said, which is truer, French or German? I think it was French or German, but you get the picture, right? Like, it's not, one is not more true than the other, it's just a different way of saying it. So in whole sign houses, Cancer is my 1st house. So this is 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, 6th house. If we look at this from just a 6th house thing, right? Mercury in Sagittarius in the 6th house. Well, what is the 6th house? This tells us like the 6th house. This tells us like the behaviors, the experience that the planet in this space is going to have. So we've got my perception, which is Mercury, my cognition, in a space of the quest for meaning, right? The adventure. In the 6th house, the experience is going to have to do with responsibilities. Things that Mercury is going to have to be responsible for, but not just responsibilities, because I feel like that's so limited. What you're responsible for is not just like what you have to manage or what you have to oversee. When you say you're responsible for something, there's an air of helping it along, right? If you're responsible for the laundry, that means you're not just like watching the laundry sit in the basket like some of us do. You're not just managing it, moving it from one place to the other, like you're responsible for taking care of it. Okay. So the 6th house, these are the things that we have to take care of. There's a relationship here, sort of like an apprentice-teacher type relationship. The 6th house is where we gain our skill. It's where we learn to be good at something. We don't just learn it to learn it. We learn it so we can do something with it, so we can take it to other people and help other people with it. When you do that, you have to choose which things are really helping me learn something. Which things do these other people really need? Like, once I get to the point where I've developed my skill, the key word is discernment. You have to be discerning about, like, where you get your information. If you're trying to learn, my husband is a welder, right? Or that's one of the things he can do is weld really well. He's really, really good when it comes to metal fabrication. When he's learning that, when he was learning, the people that were teaching him, were they good teachers? Was he getting the information about how to do this thing from good sources? Were they helping him develop his skill in a way that was going to serve him, so then he could use that skill to serve somebody else? So the way I take an information, the way I put it all together and connect the dots, am I getting my information from good sources? I have to be discerning about this, right? So do these people really know what they're talking about? Am I reading this astrology book just because it looks cool? It's got a cool picture on the front of it. Or is the information in this book really good, true information? Is it helping me grow? Is it helping me learn something? Now, Sagittarius has that passion about it, right? So I like to engage with people that are passionate. So you could be the best teacher in the world. You could have everything there is to offer me. But if you don't sound like it's important to you, if you sound like you're bored with it, then I'm going to be like, well, it must not be that great if you're not very engaged with what you have to say. So I need that, like, passionate, purposeful engagement in my information sources, whether it's a teacher or a book. Like, I need it to be exciting in some way, right? I need it to feel like there's a purpose to it, other than just blah, 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 blah. Let me list out the information. Because when I take that information and I do something with it and I put it together, I want to put it together in a way where other people can get excited about it. I think that makes my Mercury pretty badass. I'm just saying. And I've done a lot of Mercury work the last really like year, 2 years maybe. Really been focusing on how I can develop my Mercury. How can I develop my communication skills? How can I be a better communicator? How can I put things together really well for other people so they can understand them? And how can I communicate what I need so I can get the things that I need? I did a quick live on Instagram one day when I had gone to a Hindu temple, and I felt like I hadn't expressed what I needed from them. There's that apprentice thing, right? Like, I need to learn something from you. I need to be able to express that really well so I can get the information I'm trying to learn. So then I can do something with it and give it to somebody else. That's Mercury and Sagittarius in the 6th house, I think, in a nutshell. Yeah. So that's how I'm turning my Mercury into a badass. I don't think there's anybody else watching right now, and that's cool. But I wanted to give you another example of how your planet can be a badass. Let me find a good one that's fallen, right? Or in detriment. I guess I could just pick another one of my planets. We talked about Mars. We talked about Mercury. Let's talk about Venus. My Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. I'll show you. Right here, Venus and Scorpio. All right, Venus likes to be in Taurus, and Venus likes to be in Libra. Taurus, the place of comfort, and Libra, the place of balance, right? What is Venus? Robert Greene uses this really cool phrase. He uses the term primal inclinations. Oh, I just love that. See, Mercury and Sagittarius. I love good words that, like, yeah. Anyways, words that have like meaning for me and purpose. Like there's a purpose. There's a reason for putting this exact word in this spot and phrasing it this way, and I just love it. Another way to say that is your emotional connections. So Venus is your emotional connections. What do you naturally connect to emotionally? What things are you inclined to in a primal way, right? Things that I've always been inclined to, anything to do with the occult, things that other people consider sort of taboo. I've always liked. I like dark colors. I like dark lighting. I like heavy, cozy blankets. I don't like sheets. I don't like to sleep under a sheet. I like to sleep under a really heavy blanket. What else am I emotionally connected to? What else do I have a primal inclination for? Besides colors and let me think of something else. Sounds. Okay, so I'm trying to think of like with our senses, right? I like the way heavy blankets feel. I like the way dark colors look. As far as sounds go, I don't like very high-pitched sounds. I've always sort of liked music that's got sort of a harder edge to it. So like death metal and gangster rap, like it's got that bass, that like, or like bass guitar, bass drums type sound to it. I like things that smell fresh and clean, maybe a little sweet, like coffee or cinnamon rolls. I like things that taste the same way. I like coffee and cinnamon rolls, and I don't really like spicy foods, but I like foods that have like a stronger flavor. These are my primal inclinations, right? So you can see why Venus would be at home in Taurus, because these are the things that make us comfortable. So if my house just had all these in it all the time, Venus would be ecstatic. And Venus likes to vacation in Libra because it's balanced, right? Because there's an element of these things, and there's no sort of discourse or things don't get ugly in Libra, right? Ideally. And Venus likes that. Well, my Venus is in Scorpio. Scorpio is a place of like deep psychological truth. Scorpio doesn't care how much it hurts. It's this raw, unfiltered honesty, like honest with yourself type psychoanalytical Carl Jung place. Venus does not like to be there because this thing makes Venus emotionally comfortable, but maybe that's not so good for Venus, right? Venus doesn't like to look at Venus in Taurus or Venus in Libra doesn't like to look at the things that make them uncomfortable. Venus in Scorpio is forced to look at the things that make them uncomfortable. You know how I'm always saying that with Scorpio, there's it's like the extremes. It's either all the way this way or all the way that way. Think of it like this. Well, if this makes you really comfortable, if you're really emotionally connected with this thing, what is it about the opposite of that that bothers you so much? why do I like heavy blankets so much? Because they make me feel safe and secure. And I feel like there's a weight that's like holding me down, and I feel like there's something there. It makes me feel less exposed. Flash flood. Sorry. Emergency warning on my phone. So the heavy blankets make me feel less exposed. And you see Scorpio makes me like dig deep and get down into that. And what is it about this thing from a psychoanalysis perspective, like lens, whatever, that makes you like this? Why are you so emotionally connected to this thing? I don't like feeling exposed. Oh, okay. So that's how we got there from the I'm so emotionally connected. I have a primal inclination toward this heavy, weighted blanket. And Scorpio is like, why? I don't like to feel exposed. All right. So they say that Venus is in detriment in Scorpio for that reason, because it makes you face things. It doesn't make you, because you don't have to do these things, right? But there's sort of a tendency to think about or to go into that space, into that Scorpio space that makes you uncomfortable. And since Venus likes to be comfortable, Scorpio makes Venus uncomfortable. But think about this, knowing that about myself, that I don't like to feel exposed, doesn't that help me in other Venusian things like relationships, or how I emotionally connect with not just the things in my environment that I like, the way they smell, taste, sound, what they look like, those things, but the people that I'm in a relationship with, not just the things that are in relation to me, but the people in relation to me. What is it about this person that I really like or don't like, right? Why? Is it triggering something in me that I need to work on for myself, that I need to realize about myself? Is it a truth about myself that I need to face? Once you're aware of these things, you can work on these things. You can develop them, right? Venus and Scorpio, look, I used to not be the easiest person to get along with at all. I had relationships, whether it was like friendships or romantic relationships, or even like at school with my teachers. I sucked at these relationships. If there was something about the person that made me not comfortable emotionally, like if there was something about them that I disliked, then I just like disliked all of them, didn't want anything to do with them. I was very you're not a part of my world type thing. But once I start thinking about like, why is it like that, and healing those parts of myself, right, being honest with myself and figuring my own shit out, I'm so much better at relationships with other people now. And it's crazy that like once you do the inner work, like the go to therapy and do all the that kind of stuff, it's like cleaning your brain out, cleaning your subconscious out, cleaning your heart out, so you can have a really good relationship with other people, because you have a good relationship with yourself. So somebody who has Venus in Scorpio and they've done the work, I think those people are, I don't want to say like those people, because that kind of throws a blanket over the whole thing, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to speak like in these broad terms of like, I'm not trying to clump everybody together. But wouldn't you much rather have a relationship with somebody who is able to recognize the parts of themselves that are emotionally uncomfortable than somebody who has no self-reflection at all? That's how I think about it. And we can even like zoom out with this. So if you think about, I think it all comes down to the whole dignities thing, planetary dignities, the domicile versus the detriment. One is pure natural talent. The other one is pure practice makes perfect, right? So if you have somebody, if you think about somebody doing anything, whether somebody who's naturally talented in music, somebody who's naturally talented at sports, and then you have somebody who just practices day and after day after day, like they put so much energy into it, they put so much work into it, into their music or their sports or whatever to develop themselves in this way. You can have all the natural talent in the world and not do anything with it. You can have zero natural talent and still be a badass. Now, in an ideal world, you have all the natural talent and you push. I'm going to use a sports reference because it just popped in my head because, you know, I have Uranus conjunct my Mercury. So sometimes ideas strike me. Tom Brady. You don't even have to like football. You don't even have to know what American football is, and you probably know who Tom Brady is, right? The general consensus is he's the best quarterback ever of all time. Tom Brady was picked like in the 6th round of the draft. That means when the NFL teams, when all the professional football teams were picking who they wanted to be on their team, like all the college players or they're done with college, they're going into the NFL, they went through that 6 times before Tom Brady got picked. Nobody picked him. They didn't pick him the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, or the 5th time. Somebody finally picked him on their 6th pick, right? Even when they picked him, he was like the 4th string quarterback, which means 3 guys have to get hurt before we'll even let you play. He overcame all of that to become Tom Brady, right? Would he have been as great as he is if he just went straight into like the star quarterback position for an awesome team that was already winning? No, because we see that too. Like a lot of times people who have, here's another football one. Johnny Manziel, this was a few years back. He won like the Heisman Trophy, and he had so much natural talent, and he was just, you know, like you win the Heisman Trophy, and now you're going to be on this awesome football team, and you're the starting quarterback, and blah, blah, blah. And he wasted it. Like it was too easy for him. He didn't have to work for anything, so he wasted it. Think about that. When somebody says your planet is in detriment or it's in fall or whatever they want to call it, don't think that, oh, well, there's no point. You know, I should just give up. No, your planet is in badass boot camp training. And if you practice with it, if you practice a little awareness when it comes to the things that are in that planet's realm, you do the self-work, man. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So that's why I said that in my little Patreon description why I think a lot of the planetary dignity stuff that you read about is bullshit, because it says, oh, your planet can't do this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Don't tell me what I can and can't do, okay? Because practice can kick natural talent's ass. Practice can make you better than natural talent. I guess that's all I have to say about that. I've been rambling for an hour about that. Wow. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. If you have any planets that are considered in detriment or fallen, and what are some, I want to know what your planet is that's in detriment or fallen, and I want to know what badass thing you do with that planet. That's what I want to know. So let me know in the comments. or message me, or however you're most comfortable communicating that with me. I will see you guys later.